When something like this happens, it happens out of absolutely nowhere, with no warning. It's not some horror movie or story where you know something is about to happen. I'm going to describe what I felt and what I saw. I've been looking for somewhere to share this, and hopefully someone can tell me what happened. I have never heard of skinwalkers, or that there's a community out there that actually know about these things. I wish I could say something cliche like I was on Skinwalker Ranch, or my grandma is a Navajo, or some shit like that, but I can't. I actually never even heard of the Navajo natives, or skinwalkers, or anything, and I sure as hell didn't believe anything like that existed, nor did I even give a fuck about it. I'm 18 years old, and this happened this summer, June 9, 2018. I grew up in the suburbs near ATL, so I had a completely normal life until this happened. I was out of school, so me and my dad went up to Denver to visit my uncle and aunt and my cousin. I have no other cousins my age except for this one, so we were pretty close, and we kept in touch often. His name is Charlie, but we share the same last name, cause his dad is my dad's brother, so I won't use our last name. Charlie was pretty big on mountain biking, so he wanted to take me to some mountain biking trails in Apex Park. The trails are not far away from civilization at all, and we weren't even going to spend the night there. We went down a few trails, everything was fine, and we passed some people, so we knew we weren't alone. There was nothing sketchy going down. It was hard to keep up with him, but he slowed down for me and we had fun. It was around 6 p.m. and we were heading back to where we parked. Charlie was 21, so we drove ourselves. This is the part where everything goes to hell. We are riding back. Charlie is maybe 20 feet ahead of me. That's when the smell hit me. Oh God, the smell. It was disgusting. At first, I thought maybe we passed a dead animal or something. It was more metallic though, and it was very heavy in the air. Charlie stops but doesn't get off his bike. I slow down and stop next to him, and he looks at me with a disgusted face. Do you smell that? What the fuck is that? The smell started to get stronger. It was so strong that I felt like gagging. Looking back, I wish that I had felt something watching us, or at least any indication that something was not right, so that we could have left or found somebody. I guess Charlie had heard stories about these things, cause I saw his face change from disgust to absolute fucking terror as the realization hit him. Oh fuck. In less than 1 second from him saying that, something went by so fast and tore him off that bike. I did not see it because I could barely process what the absolute fuck was going on. I was still on my bike staring at the place he was just on. Chills flooded my body so fast that my vision went black, even though my eyes were open. Then the adrenaline hit me, my brain pounding, but I had no thoughts. I didn't scream, then I fucking looked up. It was right there, so fucking close to me. It looked down at me because it was a huge, maybe a couple of feet taller than me. I wish I could tell you I didn't get a good look, but it's always crystal clear in my memory. It was like a wolf but standing upright like a person. Its fur was matted and greasy and fucking disgusting, but that wasn't what I was looking at. It had Charlie's face, smiling at me. The closest thing I can describe my reaction to is when the people in Bird Box see the monsters. God, I'm crying writing this right now. The smile that he gave was pure evil, but indescribable. Its mouth was way too big, and it was smiling from ear to ear. Oh fuck, the eyes. They were pure black, but not glossy. At first, I couldn't even tell if he had eyes, but they were blacker than empty, if that even makes sense. It's very hard to describe this. It wasn't even taking a breath. It was just standing absolutely still. I could feel the strength radiating off of it, like a power not of this earth. There was no sign of Charlie anywhere. No screaming. Nothing. That's when I knew I was next. I knew it. I just fucking knew it. That I was gonna die. My eyes flooded, but it wasn't like I was crying. The pure fear and chills just made my tears run. Suddenly, it dashed away so quick. I felt and heard the air rush around me. I felt someone grab my shoulder. "Hey kid, are you okay?" It was a fit guy in his mid-40s and his wife. I hadn't even heard them approach. Keep in mind that from Charlie saying, "Do you smell that?" to this guy grabbing me on the shoulder was about a 10-second span. All the things I just described were the emotions that were flooding me in that time, not actual thoughts. Then it hit me. I couldn't speak. I was gasping for air, my head pounding, vision blurry. "Are you okay, kid?" I just cried, and I was trembling so hard the guy thought I was having a seizure. I don't remember leaving the trail. I just remember getting to the exit, then going to the hospital. Charlie is gone. After that, he went missing. But I know he's dead. They only found his bike, completely destroyed. They did send a search party after him, but no one believed me. They think he just got lost or attacked by an animal. I went home. I've been diagnosed with PTSD now, and I'm having nightmares almost every night. My life has been completely destroyed by this, and I know nothing will ever be the same. I couldn't leave my house for a long time. The days after that I spent researching what that thing was, and the closest thing I guess would be a skinwalker. It's nice to know that I'm not the only one, and that people listening to this on YouTube can actually believe each other. Everyone thinks I'm fucking crazy, but I'm glad you, who are listening to this, believes what I'm saying. Have a good night, and try not to think too much about skinwalkers. I think I encountered a skinwalker. I have no evidence, but I promise you all, this story is very real. I always been a bit of a skeptic ever since I was a kid. Scary stories don't faze me. Horror games don't frighten me. And whenever I hear something weird at night, I always assume it's something normal, an animal, or just the floorboards making noise. Despite this, something very strange happened to me the other day, and I'm really not sure what to make of it. I think it's the first time in years I actually got scared. I live in a forest area in the US. Me and my girlfriend live in a large cabin, and even though there are roads nearby, our nearest neighbors are at least a kilometer away. We also have 2 cats, one of which sleeps in the bedroom with us, while the other often goes out at night and does whatever cats do when they're out of sight. I like to stay up late at night and sleep late into the morning, where my girlfriend, on the other hand, is an early bird. It was about 1 in the morning, and I was watching crappy TV in the living room while my girlfriend slept in the bedroom. I was beginning to grow tired when I heard something outside, near the cat flap. Just to clarify, our cat flap uses a chip so only our cats can use it. I assumed it was just one of the cats coming into or leaving the house, and I ignored it. Then I heard the noise again. It sounded like something was hitting against the flat. It happened several times at random intervals, until I lost my patience and decided to just go and open the door. Clearly, the cat was having trouble getting in, right? I never thought about it at the time, but this was weird because we feed our cats well, and they're very lean rather than chubby. I passed the bedroom and peered in as I walked past it to see if my girlfriend heard the noises, but she was fast asleep. But the cat that sleeps with us was staring at the window. I called her name, nothing. She kept staring. I shrugged it off and kept heading towards the kitchen. The back doors are through there, by the way. So I reached the back door and saw a dark shape through the flap. I was then expecting the cat to be out there. It took me a moment to open the door, and I saw the cat tense up as I opened the door. The door opened fully. I froze. It wasn't my cat. Whatever it was had started moving before I opened up, and I only caught a glimpse of a distorted figure, kind of like a tailless dog, bolting, and I mean absolutely pelting it. I freaked out and slammed the door shut. What the hell was it? I wasn't sure. My natural instincts kicked in, and I assumed it was just my other cat, and I had merely startled it. Perhaps the darkness had made it appear larger. Nevertheless, I was creeped out and decided to go to sleep. As I slipped into bed, I realized something horrifying. The second cat was asleep on the rug. It took a while to get to sleep that night. Everything seemed normal until a few hours later. I awoke to a strange feeling of dread. Something wasn't right. My girlfriend was fast asleep. I held my breath and heard something creaking by the door. It sounded too loud to be one of the cats. It sounded like if a person was walking about. I reached towards my bedside cabinet and flicked on the lamp. The room was illuminated, and I saw something standing just outside the open door, staring at me. The same twisted figure I had spotted outside earlier. It wasn't very tall, maybe a little over 5 feet, but it was its face that scared me the most. I only caught a glimpse of it, but what I saw will stay with me forever. It looked like a dog, but its face was elongated and almost human-like eyes. You know that weird, distorted, snarl noises that dogs pull when they're pissed off? It had that expression. I instantly started yelling profanities as I scrabbled backwards, trying to straighten up. The creature turned and sprinted down the hall. I heard it dash outside and go past the window behind us, just above the headboard. I managed to look out as my girlfriend started to panic as she woke up fully. We both caught a glimpse of whatever the hell this thing was as it dashed off into the woods near our home. Grabbing my trusty shotgun from beneath the bed, as well as a couple of rounds from the ammunition box that sits next to it, I ran out of the room in my underwear and rounded into the kitchen. The door was open. I had forgot to lock it when I saw the thing originally. I haven't seen it since, and we still live in the same cabin. But I have bought sturdy locks for all the main doors and windows in the house, and I always check the exit points at night. I also go to bed a bit earlier than I used to, so I'm asleep when the freaks of the night start to wake up. I have been reading, and I have came across a bunch of forums and articles, and the only thing I can compare it to, based on what I saw, is that it was a skinwalker. If you know anything about these things, please let me know. Also, one more thing. Please stop leaving your cats or dogs outside at night, or bring them back inside before it gets dark. If you don't, who knows? Maybe next time the dog or cat you bring back inside might actually be a skinwalker. Before I begin, I'm 16 years old and I'm a male. About 3 years ago, I was in Virginia visiting family over summer. We were right outside the DC area, and staying in a 2-story house near the freeway. On the other side of the freeway was a forest. So my mom, her boyfriend Eric, and I were all staying with Eric's parents. We had brought some night vision binoculars and decided that tonight was the perfect time to use them. So after dinner, we gear up and head out. We pass under the freeway and head into the woods. When we get about 5 minutes into the forest, we set down our bag and take out our binoculars. My mom looks around with them for a while, seeing a few squirrels here and there. She gets tired of them and passes them to me. I look around for a while, being careful not to look at the freeway for fear of being blinded. I spot something behind a tree about 50 feet to our left. I concentrate on it, trying to figure out what it is. It looks like a pale, bald, anorexic man looking straight at us from behind the tree. I get a bit uneasy, but I'm hesitant to believe it's actually there. I ask Eric to take a look just in case. To my despair, he sees it too. He describes it much the same way I did. Now Eric, a former amateur boxer, and I train MMA almost every day, but neither of us wants to stick around with that thing. We start heading back to the house, crossing under the freeway. We take another look behind us as a car comes by. All three of us see glowing eyes lit up by headlights on the other side of the freeway. We say, "Fuck that," and head back to the house. When we get back, Eric's parents are asleep, and my mom and Eric go upstairs to the guest room. There's only one guest room, so I have the couch downstairs. I'm a little too excited after seeing the thing in the woods, so I end up staying up all night. Around 3 a.m., I'm watching TV and start hearing footsteps above me. I quickly remember our earlier encounter and panic a little. I try to calm down and tell myself it's just one of the dogs or maybe someone who couldn't sleep. I keep hearing the footsteps for a while until I hear a doorknob jiggle. I find it weird that they're trying to open a locked door, but try to ignore it. They stop, walk around for a few more minutes, and then it's quiet again. I stay up until the sun starts coming up and then pass out. My mom wakes me up and I remember the footsteps from the night before. I describe what happened and ask if one of them got up at any time. She says no, and I think it must have been one of the dogs. That is, until she tells me the room above me is the office. No one was in the office and the door stays locked at night. My heart sinks as I piece it all together. I don't know if it was that thing for sure, but I think it was. I'd done a lot of research trying to figure out what that thing was that night. I found 2 creatures that seemed to match it. I think it was either a skinwalker or a wendigo. Whichever one it was, I'm just thankful that door was locked. I know I wouldn't be able to fight that thing, no matter how tough I am. To start the story off, and to give a little insight about me, I'm an 18-year-old female who grew up in Michigan and have lived in the country for as long as I can remember. And just a heads up, this is a long story, so bear with me. Now, back to the story. On one hot summer weekend, me and a couple of friends, including my boyfriend, let's call him Tony, and my older brother, let's call him Brad, decided we were going to go camping for the weekend since it was such a nice warm week. Tony's parents had owned a cabin surrounded by a huge wooded area with a personal lake and no neighbors for at least 4 miles. But being stupid teenagers, we didn't really think about that. All we were ready for was to party like any normal teen would. Well, after being there for 2 hours, our fun had started. Tony's friends had brought tons of alcohol and weed to last us the whole weekend, so we wouldn't be bored since we had no service and only movies to watch. After it got around 12 a.m. and was pitch black, we had a huge bonfire going. It was a total of 6 people, including me and Tony. As we talked and laughed about upcoming events in our lives, we were so distracted that we didn't notice that my brother had literally frozen his eyes onto one section of the woods. Mind you, we were all intoxicated and high at the time. Eventually, our talking ceased when Tony realized his friend and my brother had an emotionless expression. "Hey dude, you alright?" he asked Brad. Silence. Brad didn't reply or even make any movements that would indicate he heard him. After that, I started to get scared, as well as the other 2 girls there. It took a lot for my brother to act that way. Eventually, I was the first to catch on that he was excessively staring into a certain spot in the woods. I turned my head and followed his gaze the best I could. And when I finally caught on to what he was staring at, my heart dropped. There was, right fucking there, was, at first look, a dog. At least, that's what I thought. It was some person's dog that wandered off. But then, my brain kicked in, and I realized there wasn't neighbors for miles. So, how could there be a dog? My mind started to race while Tony still tried to get Brad to speak or even move. Then, in one motion, this thing stood up tall. And when I say tall, I mean fucking gigantic. It had to be at least 6 feet tall. Everyone now saw it. How could you not? The other 2 girls and the other boy with us were shocked as they finally grasped why my brother was as still as a stick. No one moved for what seemed like hours. Tony was the first to talk. "No tell," he mumbled. No one heard what he said but Brad, and I swear to you, when I say his eyes widened as big as pan saucers, that freaked me out immediately. "What did you say?" one of the girls asked. "It has no fucking tail," he hissed at her. My heartbeat stopped. He was right. There was no tail on this thing. My clouded alcohol mind cleared up in a fraction of a second when I finally realized what this thing was. Now I understood why my brother was basically shitting his pants. This thing was a skinwalker. My instincts kicked in right then and there, but before I could nope the fuck out of there, the thing let out a terrible stench, like rotting meat, before screaming, inhuman-like. The sound was enough to scare the fuck out of everyone. My brother was the first up out of his chair and started shouting native words to the creature, while I told everyone to get the fuck inside. No one questioned me when they saw just how dead serious I was, especially Tony. He's never seen me so scared, so he knew it was a bad situation. We all hightailed into the cabin, with my brother behind us, still shouting native words at the creature, which seemed to keep it at bay, while it gave us enough time to get inside. He slammed and locked the door before turning all the lights off and grabbing a special ash from the kitchen counters and started throwing it at every window and door while chanting. Of course, he had everyone freaked out and basically in tears at that moment. After he was done, no one said a word for a long time, all of us still in shock. He grabbed our dad's pistol and had it posted by him for hours. Everyone was entirely shaken up to even question what happened. We must have fallen asleep eventually, because I woke up to my brother packing all our stuff into the 2 cars early in the morning. I understood why. We had native family. We knew what we were dealing with, and we knew it would come back, and maybe not alone. Before we left, I did a blessing on the cabin and spoke a few calming words to the still very freaked out girls. We left as soon as everything was packed up. To this day, we still haven't explained exactly to our friends what happened that night. But they have also never bothered to ask us.